My dad refused to walk me down the aisle because my sister, who hates me, had planned a party on the same day. But he completely lost it when he found out who ended up taking his place. Can you imagine standing at the altar on your wedding day, knowing the one person who should be by your side chose someone else? My own father abandoned me at the 11th hour, all thanks to my sister's twisted jealousy. But what he didn't see coming was the incredible man who stepped up, and believe me, his reaction to that still sends shivers down my spine. Growing up, our family looked picture perfect from the outside. A modest house, a white picket fence, blooming tulips in spring. My dad, Richard, was my hero. He was tall, commanding, but had the gentlest smile. Every morning, he'd sit with me at breakfast, telling me I had the brightest mind, that I'd change the world. Those words meant everything. My mom, Eleanor, was our family's peacekeeper, always patient, always putting us first. She taught me to bake her famous cookies, helped with homework, and balanced out my dad's occasional strictness. But everything changed when I was 12. Mom started feeling tired, and within 3 months, we got the devastating diagnosis, stage 4 pancreatic cancer. 6 months later, she was gone. It left a gaping hole we never properly addressed. My sister, Vanessa, was 3 years older, and our relationship was complicated, even before Mom died. She always seemed to resent the bond one had with Dad. I was bookish, she was athletic. Mom tried to celebrate us equally, but Vanessa saw every compliment I got as a slight against her. After Mom passed, that tension exploded. Dad threw himself into work, often not coming home until late. I think it was his way of avoiding the emptiness. Vanessa, just 15, quickly filled that vacuum. She appointed herself the new lady of the house. Dad's dealing with enough. She'd scold if I asked when he'd be home. He has important clients. We need to be strong for him. I watched her transform. She started cooking, taking control. Dad seemed grateful, and their bond strengthened while mine with him began to fray. His business success only made it worse. He became a senior partner, more money, even less time. Vanessa, though? She manipulated it masterfully. Adrian just spent $60 on art supplies, she'd tell him, conveniently forgetting it was for a school project he'd ignored. Or, Adrian doesn't need you at her band concert. She knows how busy you are. Meanwhile, I was counting the days, desperate for him to show up. By high school, Vanessa had crafted a completely false narrative about me. I was rebellious, ungrateful, only interested in friends. The truth? I was retreating into my books and art, coping with losing both my mother and, increasingly, my father. The ultimate betrayal hit during my junior year. I was nominated for a prestigious art scholarship. I'd reminded Dad for weeks. The night before the ceremony, I overheard Vanessa on the phone with him. Adrian told me she doesn't want to make a big deal, she purred. Having you there might make her nervous. Maybe just send a card. The next day, I sat alone. Dad texted congratulations, claiming an important client dinner. His assistant later confirmed Vanessa had called, rescheduling my ceremony in his calendar. When I confronted her, she just shrugged. You always want all the attention. It's pathetic. By 18, I couldn't wait to leave. I chose a college across the state, eager for distance. I limited visits home to major holidays, enduring Vanessa's jabs and my father's distant politeness. Then, during sophomore year, I met Benjamin. He was kind, logical, and our coffee meetup turned into a 3-hour conversation. Within a month, we were inseparable. Benjamin came from a warm, boisterous family. His mom, Laura, his dad, Henry, and his younger brother, Noah, they welcomed me like I'd always belonged. Through college and into our careers, Benjamin was my rock. He understood my family issues without judgment, holding me when holidays left me in tears, celebrating my achievements when my own father didn't. After graduation, I landed a marketing job in Philadelphia. Benjamin joined an engineering firm in the same city. We rented an apartment, building a life far from my family drama. My calls with Dad were brief, superficial. Vanessa, still in our hometown, still played the dutiful daughter, reminding me on rare occasions that she was taking care of Dad. By 27, I was a marketing executive, Benjamin was advancing, and our life was fulfilling. The old wounds were there, but I had built a new world where I felt truly valued. Benjamin proposed on our 5th anniversary. He recreated our first date, breakfast, the art museum, dinner at our favorite Italian spot. When dessert arrived, a velvet box sat next to my tiramisu. "Adrian," he said, taking my hands. "You've made these past 5 years the best of my life. Your creativity, kindness, and strength amaze me. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Will you marry me?" The ring was perfect. For one perfect evening, I just wanted to be happy. The next morning, I called my father. "Dad, Benjamin proposed, and I said yes." A pause. Too long. "Well, congratulations," he finally said, his tone flat, like he was discussing a minor work achievement. No excitement. No questions about the proposal. Just practical inquiries. "Let me know when you decide," he said. I should check my calendar. I sat on the couch, fighting tears. Benjamin found me. "He'll come around," he assured me, though I knew he didn't fully believe it. Vanessa's reaction was even more telling. I texted her the news, a photo of the ring. Her reply, "OMG, congrats, little sis. So happy for you. That ring is so pretty." The excessive exclamation points couldn't mask the seething jealousy. Despite the lukewarm family response, we planned on. We chose June 15th, 9 months away. The date worked for Benjamin's family, my friends, and Dad even confirmed his availability. "I've put it in my calendar," he said. Vanessa mentioned it too. "Dad," I ventured carefully. "I was hoping you'd walk me down the aisle." Another pause, but this time, genuine emotion. "I would be honored, Adrian." That single moment gave me hope. The months flew by, venue tours, catering, dress fittings. Benjamin's mom, Laura, was my rock, offering suggestions, sharing my excitement. "You're going to be the most beautiful bride," she said during my first fitting, tears in her eyes. I felt Mom's absence acutely, but Laura sensed it, squeezing my hand. "Your mom would be so proud." I also grew closer to Benjamin's uncle, Jack. He was in his 60s, a retired English professor, kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. He had no kids of his own, but doted on Benjamin and Noah. Jack always engaged me in conversation. "You have a remarkable eye for what moves people," he once told me. His enthusiasm for our wedding was genuine. "I wouldn't miss it for the world," he said, buying a new suit. A stark contrast to my own family. Dad confirmed his attendance, but never asked about plans. Vanessa declined to be a bridesmaid, citing work commitments, but said she'd attend. 5 months before the wedding, I started seeing troubling signs. Vanessa made vague social media comments about a big event she was planning. When I asked, she was evasive. "Just something for work. Nothing for you to worry about." But as June approached, more posts popped up: venue scouting, catering, June target date. A knot of anxiety formed in my stomach, but I pushed it down. The bombshell dropped exactly 3 months before our day. Vanessa called, her voice dripping with false sweetness. "Adrian, I wanted to let you know personally before you see it on social media. I'm hosting a career achievement party on June 15th. I finally hit my sales target to become a broker, and the firm is throwing me a huge celebration." My blood ran cold. "Vanessa, that's my wedding day. You got the save the date 8 months ago." "Did I?" She feigned surprise. "Must have slipped my mind. Anyway, it's just a coincidence. My event's earlier, starting at 11 a.m. at the country club. It should be winding down around the time your ceremony starts at 4, so it works out perfectly." "Perfectly." My voice rose. "You're scheduling a party on my wedding day, knowing Dad will have to choose?" "Dad can attend both," she replied smoothly. "He's so proud of my achievement. But I'm sure he'll make it to your wedding too." The country club was nearly 2 hours from our venue. Physically impossible, especially for the father of the bride. I immediately called Dad, hoping he'd see through her. "Dad, did you know Vanessa scheduled her party on my wedding day?" "Yes, she mentioned it," he said casually. "Unfortunate timing, but these work events are hard to reschedule. It's a big achievement for her." "But Dad, how will you attend both? You're supposed to walk me down the aisle." I'll make it work, Adrian. I'll go to the first part of Vanessa's event, then drive over for your ceremony. No need to make this a bigger issue. As weeks passed, I sensed him wavering. He started mentioning traffic, asking if we could push the ceremony back, wondering if he really needed to be there for pre-wedding photos. Despite the growing tension, plans continued. Final fittings, photographer meetings, flower arrangements. Benjamin and his family remained supportive, but I could tell they were worried about Dad. Then, just 2 weeks before the wedding, the call came. My worst fears confirmed. It was Dad. Adrian, he began, his voice uncomfortable. I need to talk to you about the wedding. I've been thinking about the logistics for June 15th, and I don't think I can make it to the ceremony on time. Vanessa's event is really important for her career, and as her father, I need to be there for the whole thing. The timing just doesn't work out. I gripped the phone tightly, fighting to keep my voice steady. You're choosing not to walk me down the aisle at my wedding. It's not about choosing, he said defensively. It's about practical timing. Vanessa's event is earlier, and I can't be in 2 places at once. Maybe you could ask Benjamin's father to walk you down the aisle, or your friend's dad. I'm sure someone else can do it. Someone else? As if walking your daughter down the aisle was an interchangeable task. I see, I managed, my voice barely a whisper. I'll still come to the reception, he added, as if offering a generous compromise. I should be able to make it by 7 or so. I mumbled goodbye, dropped the phone, and collapsed onto the floor, sobbing. Benjamin found me 20 minutes later. He's not coming, I choked out. He's choosing Vanessa's party over walking me down the aisle. Benjamin held me tight, his own anger evident. I'm so sorry, Adrian. He doesn't deserve you. That night, Benjamin gently suggested postponing the wedding. We could move it. Give your dad no excuse. The thought had crossed my mind, but something inside me rebelled. No, I said firmly. I am not rearranging our wedding because of Vanessa's manipulations. That's exactly what she wants. The next day, Laura, Benjamin's mom, called. She sensed something was wrong. I poured out the whole story. Oh, sweetheart, she said, her voice filled with motherly concern. I can't believe your father would do this. I don't know what to do, I admitted. Part of me wants to beg him to reconsider, but I know that's what Vanessa expects. She wants me to seem desperate. Listen to me, Laura said firmly. This is your day, yours and Benjamin's. Don't let anyone diminish it. Your father is making a choice he will regret, but that's his burden to bear, not yours. Her words gave me strength, but the question remained, who would walk me down the aisle? The thought of walking alone felt like a public acknowledgement of his rejection. Later that week, Jack called. Benjamin told me what happened, he said gently. Family disappointments cut the deepest. His tone suggested personal experience. It sounds like you understand. More than you might guess, he replied. My own father disowned me for choosing literature over the family business. Some wounds never fully heal, but we learn to build beautiful lives despite them. His wisdom brought fresh tears. Thank you for understanding, Jack. Anytime, dear. And remember, family isn't just about blood. It's about who shows up for you when it matters. A week before the wedding, I hit rock bottom. Amidst excited emails from friends and final vendor confirmations, I found myself sitting on the bathroom floor at midnight, overwhelmed. The wedding was perfect, except for the gaping hole of my father's absence. The next morning, Benjamin suggested I meet Laura for lunch. Mom really wants to see you. Just the 2 of you. Laura was waiting at a quiet cafe. She hugged me tightly. Benjamin's worried about you, she said, squeezing my hand. We all are. I'm trying to be strong, I replied, stirring my tea. I keep telling myself it doesn't matter, that I'm better off without Dad there. But then I think about walking into the ceremony alone, and I just feel abandoned. Laura nodded. It's okay to feel that way, Adrian. What your father is doing is wrong, and you have every right to be hurt. As we picked at our salads, Laura gathered her thoughts. There's something I think you should know, she finally said. Something about Jack that might help. You understand why he called you. I looked up, curious. What about him? Jack is actually my late husband's brother, she explained. When I met Henry, Jack was already estranged from their parents. Their father was a very rigid man who never forgave Jack for choosing academia over the family construction business. I nodded, recalling Jack's comment about his father. What you might not know is that I was married once before Henry, Laura continued. When I decided to marry Henry, my father refused to attend because he thought it was shameful for me to have a second wedding. That's terrible, I murmured. It was Jack who offered to walk me down the aisle, she said, a small smile forming. He understood what it was like to be rejected by a parent. He told me, Laura, you deserve to be given away by someone who celebrates your happiness, not someone who judges it. Her story resonated deeply. I had no idea Jack did that for you. He never had children of his own, Laura continued, but he's been the most wonderful uncle to Benjamin and Noah. He attends every school play, every graduation. She was too tactful to say it directly, but the idea began to form. Do you think, I started hesitantly, would it be inappropriate to ask Jack if he would walk me down the aisle? Laura's eyes filled with tears. Oh, sweetheart, I think it would mean the world to him. But this has to be your decision. I spent the next day considering it. Jack had always shown genuine interest, always kind. There was something poetic about being walked down the aisle by someone who truly understood parental rejection. That evening, I called Jack. We met for coffee. He was already there, a stack of books and 2 coffees waiting. I took the liberty of ordering your usual, he said with a warm smile. Vanilla latte with an extra shot. Right? The fact that he remembered such a small detail confirmed his character. After some small talk, I gathered my courage. Jack, there's something I wanted to ask you. He gave me his full attention. Anything, Adrian. I don't know if Benjamin told you, but my father has decided not to walk me down the aisle. The words still hurt. Jack nodded solemnly. Benjamin mentioned there was some conflict. I'm truly sorry you're experiencing this. I took a deep breath. Laura told me how you walked her down the aisle at her wedding to Henry, and how meaningful that was. I was wondering. I would be honored if you would consider doing the same for me. Jack's expression shifted from surprise to profound emotion. For a moment, he seemed unable to speak, his eyes glistening. Adrian, he finally said, his voice thick. I cannot tell you what this means to me. Are you certain? This should be a special moment with someone you are close to. I am absolutely certain, I replied, feeling more confident by the second. You have shown me more genuine interest and support in the years I've known you than my father has in a decade. I would be proud to have you walk me down the aisle. Jack reached across the table and took my hand. Then I accept with all my heart. It would be one of the greatest honors of my life. The weight that had been crushing me for weeks suddenly felt lighter. Jack was right. Family was about who showed up. The final days were a whirlwind. I made one last attempt to reach out to Dad, 3 days before the wedding. Dad, I just wanted to confirm whether you're still planning to come to the reception. Yes, I should be able to make it after Vanessa's event, he replied, distracted. Probably around 7:30 or 8. I swallowed hard. I also wanted you to know that I've asked Benjamin's uncle, Jack, to walk me down the aisle. A pause. Who? Jack Harris. Benjamin's uncle. He's been very supportive. I see. His tone was unreadable. Well, I suppose someone has to do it if I can't be there on time. His dismissive response only confirmed I'd made the right choice. The night before, at the rehearsal dinner, Jack gave a toast that brought tears to many eyes. To Adrian and Benjamin, he said, raising his glass. True love isn't just about finding the right person, but also about creating a family of choice that supports and celebrates you. Later, as guests left, I checked social media. Vanessa's posts showed a simple gathering at her apartment, maybe a dozen people. Not the grand corporate event she described. It was a regular house party, scheduled specifically to conflict with my wedding. The knowledge should have hurt, but instead, I felt a strange sense of clarity. The scales had finally fallen from my eyes about the true nature of her feelings. Her jealousy ran so deep she'd sabotage one of the most important days of my life out of spite. I closed the app. Tomorrow would be about love, not family drama. I woke on my wedding day to sunshine. My bridesmaids arrived, their excitement infectious. As my friend Sophia had her hair styled, my phone chimed. A text from my father. Good luck today. Vanessa's event starts at 11 o'clock. If it wraps up early, I might be able to make it to the reception by 7 or 8. Save me some cake. Not a word of regret. Not even I love you. Just a reminder of his priority. I handed the phone to my bridesmaid, Zoe. She read it, shook her head. He's unbelievable. Around noon, a knock at the door. It was Jack, impeccably dressed in his tuxedo, holding a small gift box. I hope I'm not intruding, he said. I just wanted to drop this off for Adrian. I invited him in. You look absolutely radiant, he said, his eyes crinkling. Benjamin is a very fortunate young man. Thank you for coming by, I replied. And for everything else. He handed me the box. I wanted you to have this today. It belonged to my mother, and I've been saving it for a special occasion. Inside was a delicate vintage handkerchief, embroidered with tiny blue flowers. Something old, something blue, Jack explained. My mother carried it on her wedding day in 1930. Tears welled. It's beautiful, Jack. I'd be honored. There's one more thing, he added, pulling out a velvet pouch. Laura asked me to give you this. It was meant to be a surprise. Inside was a delicate silver bracelet with a charm, a paintbrush crossed with a pen. She remembered you telling her how you loved both writing and painting as a child, Jack explained. She wanted you to have a reminder of your creative spirit. The thoughtfulness overwhelmed me. These people, who had no obligation to me by blood, had shown more care for my happiness than my own family. Please thank her for me, I managed, fastening the bracelet. At 3:30, I made my way to the garden terrace. Through the glass, I could see our 90 guests. Benjamin waited at the altar. Jack was in the anteroom, slightly nervous but composed. Ready? He asked gently. I nodded, too emotional to speak. Jack offered his arm. As the first notes of Canon in D began, the doors opened. Walking down the aisle with Jack, I felt a curious blend of emotions. A pang of sadness that my father had missed this, but it was overshadowed by gratitude for the man who had stepped in with such grace. Benjamin's face as he watched me approach was worth every moment of planning, every family drama, every tear shed. His eyes shone with love and wonder. In that moment, I knew with certainty that we were creating our own family, one built on mutual respect and genuine care. The ceremony was everything I had hoped for. We exchanged vows we had written ourselves. When the officiant pronounced us husband and wife, the applause wrapped around us like an embrace. The cocktail hour and dinner were filled with laughter, toasts, and dancing. Jack's toast brought happy tears to many eyes as he spoke about the privilege of watching young love blossom. By 8:30, it was clear my father wouldn't make even the reception. I tried not to let it dampen my spirits. As the evening progressed, my cousin Thomas arrived, looking flustered. I'm so sorry, he said. I stopped by Vanessa's event first, thinking I could make both. But Adrian, there's something you should know. He guided me to a quiet corner. That party Vanessa had today? It wasn't what she told everyone. It wasn't a work event at all. It was just a regular gathering at her apartment. Maybe 15 people. Mostly her friends from the gym. There was no company recognition, no achievement celebration. I asked her colleague about the broker promotion, and she looked completely confused. The implications were staggering. So, she lied about the whole thing just to create a conflict with my wedding? Thomas nodded grimly. That's not all. I overheard her talking to your dad. She's been telling him for months that you didn't really want him at the wedding, that you only asked him to walk you down the aisle out of obligation. What? That's completely false. I know. And there's more. Thomas pulled out his phone, showing me a text exchange from months earlier. Vanessa openly admitted to scheduling her party on my wedding day deliberately. She wanted to force Dad to choose. Does Dad know any of this? I asked. Thomas shook his head. I don't think so. I tried to tell him today, but Vanessa kept interrupting and pulled him away. I'm so sorry, Adrian. I should have realized what was happening sooner. I hugged him, grateful for his honesty. Thank you for telling me, Thomas. At least now I know the truth. I tried to process this new information. Part of me wanted to call Dad immediately, expose Vanessa's lies. But another part recognized this was my wedding day. I rejoined Benjamin on the dance floor, pushing thoughts of my sister and father aside. This day was about our love, our future, not the painful past. The reception was winding down around 10:30 when I noticed a commotion. My heart skipped a beat. It was my father, his tall figure entering the ballroom, looking uncomfortable in a hastily put-on suit. Benjamin noticed him too. "Do you want me to run interference?" I shook my head. "No. I need to handle this." Dad approached awkwardly, holding a small gift bag. "Congratulations," he said stiffly, leaning in for an equally stiff hug. "Sorry I'm late." Vanessa's thing ran longer than expected. The casual way he referenced missing my entire wedding ceremony made my blood boil, but I maintained composure. "I'm glad you could make it for the last hour of the reception." If he detected the sarcasm, he didn't acknowledge it. He glanced around the room. "It looks like it was a nice wedding." "It was beautiful," I replied. "Perfect, actually." An uncomfortable silence fell. He thrust the gift bag toward me. "This is from Vanessa and me." A set of crystal wine glasses. "Thank you," I said, setting it aside. "Would you like a drink? The bar is still open." He nodded, and we walked over. As the bartender prepared his scotch, Dad finally asked the question I'd been expecting. "So, who ended up walking you down the aisle?" "Jack Harris," I replied. "Benjamin's uncle." Dad frowned slightly. "The older gentleman in the navy tuxedo, the one who gave that toast earlier?" I nodded, spotting Jack chatting with Laura and Henry. "Yes, that's him." "You had a stranger walk you down the aisle?" His tone was incredulous. "He's not a stranger to me," I said firmly. "He's been part of Benjamin's family for years, and he has shown more interest in my life and happiness than you have in a very long time." Dad's face flushed. "That's not fair, Adrian. I've always supported you." "Have you?" I challenged, the hurt of years finally bubbling up. "You missed my art scholarship ceremony because Vanessa told you I didn't want you there. You forgot my college graduation dinner until Benjamin's parents reminded you. And now you skipped my wedding ceremony for Vanessa's fake party." "Fake party? What are you talking about?" At that moment, Thomas approached. "Uncle Richard, I'm glad you made it, even if it's just for the end." Dad nodded curtly. "Thomas, what is this Adrian is saying about Vanessa's party being fake?" Thomas looked between us, clearly realizing he'd walked into a tense conversation. "I was just telling Adrian earlier. The party today was not a work event. It was just a regular get-together at Vanessa's apartment." "That can't be right," Dad insisted. "Vanessa said it was for her broker promotion. The firm was sponsoring it." "I asked her colleague Sarah about it," Thomas replied calmly. "There was no promotion, no company event. It was just a party Vanessa planned on the same day as Adrian's wedding." Dad's expression shifted from disbelief to confusion. Before he could respond, Jack approached. "Adrian, Benjamin is looking for you. I believe it's almost time for the sparkler send-off." Dad stared at Jack with barely concealed hostility. "You must be the uncle who walked my daughter down the aisle." Jack extended his hand politely. "Jack Harris. You must be Richard. It's good to finally meet you." Dad ignored the outstretched hand. "I don't understand why my daughter needed to have a stranger take my place." "Dad, stop it," I hissed, mortified. Jack remained composed. "I can understand your confusion. It was an honor to support Adrienne on her special day, especially knowing how important this ceremony was to her." "Important to her?" Dad scoffed. "If it was so important, she could have scheduled it on a day that didn't conflict with her sister's event." "My wedding was scheduled 9 months ago," I interjected. "Vanessa deliberately planned her party for the same day, and Thomas has proof of it." Thomas reluctantly showed Dad the texts. Dad read them, his face growing increasingly pale. "This cannot be right," he muttered. "Vanessa wouldn't do this." "She has, Dad," I said, my voice breaking. "She's been doing it for years. She's been deliberately driving a wedge between us since Mom died. She lied to you about me not wanting you at my art ceremony, about me not caring if you came to my graduation dinner, and now about me not really wanting you to walk me down the aisle." Dad looked genuinely shocked. "She told me, you said having me walk you down the aisle would be embarrassing because we're not close anymore. She said you only asked out of obligation." "That is absolutely not true." I insisted. "I wanted you there. I have always wanted you in my life." The realization seemed to hit him all at once. The years of manipulation suddenly clear. His expression shifted from confusion to anger. "I need to speak with Vanessa," he said sharply, pulling out his phone. "Not now," I pleaded. "This is my wedding reception." But he was already dialing, stepping away. Jack placed a gentle hand on my shoulder. "I'm so sorry about this, Adrian. Should I get Benjamin?" I nodded gratefully, overwhelmed. Jack returned moments later with my new husband. Benjamin took in the situation, putting a protective arm around me. "What happened?" Before I could explain, Dad returned, his face flushed. Vanessa hung up on me. "I'm going to her apartment right now to get the truth." "Dad, please," I said. "Can this wait until tomorrow?" "I need to know if what you're saying is true," he insisted. "If Vanessa has been lying to me all these years, she has," Thomas confirmed quietly. "I'm sorry, Uncle Richard, but it's true." Dad looked at me, then at Jack, who stood protectively beside Benjamin and me. Something about seeing us together seemed to trigger a fresh wave of anger. "So you replaced me with him?" he demanded, gesturing toward Jack. "Some random old man you barely know?" Jack stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. "Mr. Evans, I understand you are upset, but this is neither the time nor place for this conversation. Today is about Adrian and Benjamin's marriage, not about past grievances. Don't tell me what this day is about." Dad snapped. "She is my daughter." "Then perhaps you should have acted like her father," Jack replied evenly. "Being a father means showing up not just when it's convenient, but when it matters most." The simple truth of Jack's words hit my father like a physical blow. He stared at Jack, then at me, his anger suddenly deflating into something that looked almost like shame. "I need to go," he said abruptly. "I need to talk to Vanessa." Without another word, he turned and strode out of the ballroom, leaving an uncomfortable silence. Benjamin pulled me close. "Are you okay?" I nodded, though tears threatened. I just wish he could have seen the truth sooner. Jack's steady presence was comforting. "Family revelations are never easy, Adrian, but sometimes they are necessary for healing to begin." Laura and Henry joined us, having witnessed the confrontation. Laura hugged me tightly. "Don't let this overshadow your beautiful day. You and Benjamin deserve all the happiness in the world." We rejoined the remaining guests for the sparkler send-off, creating a magical tunnel of light. As Benjamin and I ran through to our waiting car, despite the confrontation, I felt a curious sense of peace. The truth was finally out. And whatever happened next, I had a new family who truly valued me. Benjamin and I spent 2 blissful weeks honeymooning in Greece. I turned off notifications from my father and Vanessa, determined to enjoy this special time. But when we returned to our apartment, reality was waiting in my voicemail and email inbox. 5 messages from my father, each progressively more apologetic. The final one, left 3 days before our return, was raw. "Adrian, I don't know if you're listening, but you were right about Vanessa. I went to her apartment and confronted her. At first, she denied everything, but when I pressed her, she finally admitted the truth. She has been manipulating both of us for years, telling me you didn't want me in your life, while telling you I was too busy for you. I can't believe I was so blind. I understand if you never want to speak to me again, but I hope someday you will give me a chance to make this right. I am so sorry I missed your wedding. It was unforgivable." There were no messages from Vanessa, but a terse email stating she was taking some time away from family drama and would be traveling for work indefinitely. I sat on our couch, staring at my phone. Benjamin sat beside me, holding my hand in silence. "What are you thinking?" he finally asked. "I don't know," I admitted. Part of me feels vindicated that Dad finally sees the truth, but another part is just sad for all the years we lost. "Do you want to call him back?" I considered it. "Not yet. I need some time to figure out what I want this relationship to look like, if I even want one at all." The next few weeks were busy with thank you notes, returning to work, settling into married life. I maintained contact with Benjamin's family, especially Jack, who called every Sunday. "How are you doing, Adrian?" he'd ask, his voice warm with genuine concern. Our conversations ranged from books to deeper discussions about family and forgiveness. Jack never pressured me about my father, but his own experiences offered valuable perspective. "Forgiveness isn't about excusing the behavior," he told me during one call. "It's about freeing yourself from the burden of resentment." Whatever you decide about your relationship with your father, make sure it brings you peace. A month after our return, I finally called my father. We met at a cafe. He was already there, looking older and more tired. "Adrian, thank you for coming," he said, his voice thick with emotion. We sat down. "I don't even know where to begin," he said. "I failed you so completely." "Yes, you did," I agreed, not sugarcoating it. "But I want to understand how. How did you not see what Vanessa was doing?" He sighed heavily. "After your mother died, I was lost. Vanessa stepped up, and I was grateful. It was easier to believe her version of events than to face my own grief and inadequacy as a single parent. She became my connection to you, filtering everything through her perspective. By the time you left for college, I believed her narrative that you were pulling away." "I never wanted to pull away from you," I said. "I just couldn't handle Vanessa's constant manipulation. It was easier to distance myself." "I understand that now," he replied. When I confronted her, she admitted everything. She's been jealous of our relationship since you were a child. She felt I always favored you, and after your mother died, she saw an opportunity to have me all to herself. "Have you spoken to her since?" He shook his head. "She left for a business trip to Florida the day after. She's staying with a friend in Miami and refuses to discuss what happened. I don't know when or if she'll come back." We talked for nearly 3 hours, going through painful memories. There were tears on both sides, recriminations, and eventually, the beginnings of understanding. "I want to try to rebuild our relationship," my father said as we prepared to leave. "I know I don't deserve another chance, but if you are willing, I'd like to get to know the amazing woman you've become." "I need to think about it," I replied honestly. "This isn't something we can fix in one conversation." He nodded, accepting my boundary. "Take all the time you need. I'll be here when you're ready." Over the following months, we began a careful reconciliation. Weekly phone calls became regular visits. I introduced him properly to Benjamin's family, including Jack, who displayed remarkable grace. 3 months after our first reunion, my father suggested a family dinner at his home, including Benjamin's parents and Jack. It was a tentative step toward blending our families. There were awkward moments, but also genuine effort. After dinner, I found my father and Jack deep in conversation. "I want to thank you for being there for Adrian when I wasn't," my father was saying. "Walking her down the aisle should have been my privilege, but you did it with honor." Jack nodded thoughtfully. "She is a remarkable young woman. You should be very proud of who she has become, largely through her own strength and determination." "I am," my father agreed. "I just wish I had been more present to see it." Their conversation gave me hope that perhaps the wounds of the past could truly heal with time and effort. Vanessa remained distant, sending impersonal texts, but avoiding any real conversation. I came to accept that some relationships might never be repaired, and that was okay. 6 months after the wedding, we hosted our first Thanksgiving as a married couple. Our table was filled with Benjamin's family, my father, cousin Thomas, and a few close friends. Vanessa was invited but declined. As we went around the table sharing what we were thankful for, my father's voice broke. "I am thankful for second chances," he said simply, "and for a daughter whose capacity for forgiveness humbles me every day." When it was Jack's turn, he smiled warmly. "I am thankful for the reminder that family is created through love and choice, not just biology. And I am especially thankful to have gained another niece in Adrian, whose courage and grace inspire me." On our 1-year anniversary, Benjamin and I held a small dinner party. Jack surprised us with a toast. 1 year ago, I had the privilege of walking this beautiful young woman down the aisle. What began as an unexpected honor became one of the greatest gifts of my life. May your marriage continue to grow in strength and joy. And may you always remember that true family consists of those who choose to love you, even when it's difficult. As I reflect on the journey that brought us here, I realize that sometimes life's greatest wounds can lead to unexpected healing. My father's absence on my wedding day led to Jack's presence, which in turn created a bridge for my father's return to my life. The family I have now includes both those I was born to and those I have chosen. All imperfect, all valuable. I've learned that forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or excusing harmful behavior. It means freeing yourself from the burden of resentment and creating boundaries that protect your heart while allowing for growth and change. The father who walks you down the aisle should indeed be someone who has walked beside you through life's challenges, supporting and loving you unconditionally. Sometimes that person shares your DNA, and sometimes they come into your life through other paths. What matters most is not who stands beside you on one important day,